she's accepted that she's going to die, but she's going to go down fighting, and she's going to fight back, and that seemed to be a real motivator for her. But further along in the book, after she gets out and as she survives, you say that she's talking to people and she's saying it's important that you live, and that transition really kind of struck me. And I was wondering, after the uprising, were they saying, well, wait a minute, maybe there's hope? Or how did she change, do you think?
Well, let's start with this. So why are we fighting? We're a bunch of starving 18-year-old Jews. We're not going to topple the Nazis. Why fight? And this was a big discussion that they had. What is motivating us? And for many of them, it was, we are fighting for dignity. We are fighting to die in action. We are fighting for our pride and for future generations' dignity as well. And as such, they were, to some degree, suicide fighters. In fact, in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, they didn't expect to live. The ZOB did not create bunkers for themselves. They imagined that they were going to go out there, throw their bombs, shoot, detonate their explosives, and die. And they didn't have supply. When they lived, they were shocked. They couldn't believe it. They didn't have supplies for themselves. That is why she ended up in Mila 18. That was a massive bunker, actually set up by like the Jewish underworld. And many of the underground ended up there because they didn't have anywhere else to go. They didn't think they'd still be alive. So I think many times for many of these women, and this was important for me too, to write about, they wanted to die. They couldn't take it anymore. There were times where they lost it. They weren't always, bravado. So I guess that there is a shift. I'm not sure again what moment you're referring to.
Well, I don't think it was a moment, but I just remember as I was reading, as I was following, I was really interested in her because I had been to Mila, and I'm curious about that. And there's a point in the book where you talk about either she was talking to somebody or somebody was talking about her, and they were talking about the importance of living as opposed to the importance of going down guns a-blazing. And that just struck me, because obviously you know why the uprising is this amazing act of defiance, right? And I understand, they don't expect to topple the Nazi regime, but
I think maybe you're talking about there was a moment where the ZOB was this was before the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. They were planning an uprising, and their leaders were caught, and their weapons. They were moving their weapons cache in a bicycle basket across the ghetto, and the woman was caught, and everything was taken away. And there was such a feeling of everything we planned for and worked for is gone. The group decided to commit mass suicide. They were going to get whatever explosives they could, try to just blow up whatever they could, but blow themselves up in the moment too. Right. And it was her then boyfriend and future husband, Itzhak Zuckerman, who sort of brought everyone together and gave a speech saying, what's the point of killing ourselves? Let's fight, but let's live. That is the real, that's defiance too. And let's not just suicide. That's just doing the work for them.
You can easily imagine that emotions and feelings about that run all over the place. I mean, it's so hard, I think, for us to put ourselves in that situation because none of us have faced, I think it's fair to say, I don't know you that well, Judy, but none of us have faced the kind of desperate pressure, horror, terror, add on your adjectives there, that they faced. And I could easily imagine being suicidal one day and defiant the next day in that situation.